For more exclusive content from CNBC Crypto Trader, hit the subscribe button now.
Crypto Trader is proudly brought to you by eToro. Discover a simpler way to trade and invest in cryptocurrencies and more.
Bitcoin takes a blow as the VanEck ETF is withdrawn. A big week for Securities Token as TZERO launches its trading platform. Tron gets more criticism for its BitTorrent plans. Tonight we speak to Justin Sun and get the inside scoop. World leaders gather in Davos, but this year the crypto narrative is very different. It's a big week on the crypto markets and you're tuned into the world's only cryptocurrency investment show here on CNBC. Let's take a look at the big news making crypto news headlines. Bitcoin took another blow this week when the CBOE withdrew their application for the much anticipated VanEck ETF. The story broke when my colleague Bob Pisani interviewed Jan van Eck on the ETF Edge show. VanEck cited the US government shutdown as the primary reason for the withdrawal, stating that they had been working very closely with the SEC to address the SEC's concerns. But since the SEC is part of the US government and they're now in shutdown, a more prudent approach would be to withdraw the application and to refile it at a later date. Let's take a listen to what he said.
Let me just pivot a little bit and ask you about Bitcoin ETF. You're one of the people that had the Bitcoin ETF application out with the SEC. You told us this morning you're going to be withdrawing that application. It was up for a thumbs up or thumbs down within the next month. Can you tell us why you withdrew the application?
Yeah, so technically, well, you know, the SEC is affected by the shutdown. So we were engaged in discussions with the SEC about the Bitcoin-related issues, custody, market manipulation, prices, and that had to stop. And so instead of trying to slip through or something, we just had the application pulled, and we will refile and re-engage in the discussions when the SEC gets going again.
VanEck then went on to say something really interesting about the relationship between gold and digital gold, and about their prospects for success around the ETF approval. Let's take a listen.
I do think that Bitcoin pulled a little bit of demand away from gold last year in 2017. Interestingly, we just pulled 4,000 Bitcoin investors, and their number one investment for 2019 is actually gold. So, gold lost to Bitcoin, and now, it's going the other way.
But I want to clarify about why you pulled the application. You're not saying you pulled the application because SEC is closed necessarily. I mean, they were very concerned and have expressed their concerns about the inability to solve the custody problem, as well as the fact that most Bitcoin's priced overseas where they don't control it. Those are still major issues. I think you face the prospect they would have turned you down anyhow, don't you think?
Yes, absolutely. But we think we actually have pretty solid answers to those, but we just need to really demonstrate it very, very clearly and convincingly to the regulators, and we were trying to do that, but we obviously can't have meetings while they're shut down.
Now, surprisingly, the withdrawal of the ETF had very little impact on the price of Bitcoin, which held firmly above $3,500. As the bear market enters its second year and most tokens have lost over 80% of their value, there are some tokens that are managing to perform despite the downturn. Bear markets are famous for separating the men from the boys, the weak from the strong, and for bringing the cream all the way up to the top. One of these tokens that has indeed risen all the way up to the top is a token called Tron, a token founded by Justin Sun. And I've got Justin Sun with me all the way from Hong Kong. Justin, Tron has been one of these tokens that has performed well despite the bear market, and it's in fact up about 30% this year alone. For our viewers who don't know what Tron is, tell us a little bit about what Tron is and why you think it's performing so well.
Sure. Tron is one of the world's largest blockchain operating system. So we have like almost 200 decentralized applications right now running on the Tron platform. So it's just like Android and the iOS. It's more like a blockchain operating system.
Justin, Tron talks about very fast transaction speeds. Give us a feel for the type of throughput that you're achieving on the network.
Tron, we can achieve 2,000 TPS, which is 200 times than the Ethereum. And also right now for our daily transaction, we can achieve like 3 millions every day.
Okay, so now Justin, you achieve these speeds using a delegated proof of stake model similar to EOS's model, and EOS has come under fire from the critics for compromising on decentralization. Now, Tron has 27 validators, if I'm not mistaken. How do you respond to the same criticism?
Oh, first of all, I think we need to define the decentralization. I think we have several ways to define the decentralization. First of all, is the network controlled by a single party or a sole party? I think it's not, because the 27 super representatives, they have the equal rights, and they are all elected by the people. The second thing is there like any authority they can approve, like anybody can run for nodes or run for the election? So basically we have like no entry barrier. So that's also different from EOS. You know, like right now, in the EOS, they have this kind of the arbitration committee who can rule out lots of the rulings that even the super representative, or they call it like block producers must take on those rulings. So we don't have, we also don't have this. So every super representative have equal rights, and nobody can doing anything without the super representative agree on that.
Justin, these 27 validators, who are they?
So basically, first of all, it's very decentralized. They are super representative based in LA, called Seismic. They are doing amazing job. They're doing like payment on the Tron ecosystem and fund lots of the dApps. We also got people from South Africa. His name is Crypto Guys in ZA. And also we got people from Romania, from Europe, also in United States, in China, in Japan, in Korea. So basically it's very worldwide and the diversification.
So Justin, I do want to talk to you about BitTorrent, but before we get into BitTorrent, give us a feel for the type of dApps that are being developed on the Tron network. Give us a feel for what's going on the network.
Basically, mainly right now, the dApps play on the Tron platform is the game. Lots of the game right now come on board every day. We got like 3 to 5 dApps playing out, get on board like every day. So right now it's 200 plus. We think next month's gonna be double. So lots of the game right now. Some of the game, for example, is like idle game. So it's like just like the Royal Clash. So basically, you can just build your castle, build your infantry, and then invade in others people's kingdom. So there are also like PvP game. PvP game is more like player versus player. So they can build their different armies, and then they can fight each other. So there is also some other games like pets racing games like Blockchain Kitty.
So it sounds promising, but as we stand today, are there any dApps that have a lot of active daily users?
Yeah, definitely. I think Tron right now, we got almost 40K users right now every day, but we just start like 2 months. So so basically, I think our DAU gonna double and even triple next month. So it's like, even though right now it's 40K, but it's increased like dramatically.
Okay, now let's talk about the big story, and that's of course BitTorrent. For our users that don't know what BitTorrent is, can you tell us a little bit about BitTorrent?
BitTorrent has been around like in 2003. This is a very successful P2P network, responsible for the P2P file transferring. And also at the same time, we have like over 100 million active users around the world in 138 countries.
So when you talk about 100 million active users, how do you define active users? Is it people that have logged on in the last year, month, in a lifetime? How do you define active user?
Oh, so basically it's monthly active users. So every device like download like the files in the past months is considering like one of the users.
Justin, up until now, how have people been transacting on the system or paying for the downloaded files?
Oh, so basically, right now, I think one of the biggest problem of the BitTorrent protocol is everybody is sitting on goodwill. So there is no reward for the sitting at all. So lots of the software in the BitTorrent protocol even help you to disable the uploading when you finish the downloading. So that's why we want to provide this like new way with tokens to incentivize the people who can sit in the files and at the same time they can get a reward.
Now, Justin, is it not a risk to take a business model that has traditionally been free and then to try and migrate it to become a paid model? I mean, people have been using the system for free since 2003, and now you're going to tell them to pay.
Oh, first of all, I think it's a opt-out solution. So it's like a backward compatible. So like anybody who do not want to use this function, they can disable them and they can still use like BitTorrent very well. This is first thing. The second thing is we actually accelerate the speed of the downloading. So if you don't spend money token, you can use the BitTorrent completely for free. You don't need to pay. You don't need to pay anything. So third is actually because we provide incentive plan for those people who do the sitting, we are expecting have more swarm, private tracker, and sitting in the future. So basically, it will make the BitTorrent protocol better.
Justin, Tron bought BitTorrent from the founders. What did you pay?
We finished the acquisition in $140 million.
Okay, and are you going to put BitTorrent on the Tron blockchain? Is it effectively going to become a dApp and probably the biggest dApp on the Tron blockchain?
Definitely. I think right now, BitTorrent is definitely one of the largest application in the Tron network because also the token, official token of the BitTorrent protocol called BTT is also a TRC10 token running on the Tron platform.
Justin, you've come under a lot of fire from the critics lately, and especially from ex-BitTorrent employees. The biggest criticism that you face is that they believe that the Tron network can't handle BitTorrent's volumes. Is this a fair concern?
Definitely. First of all, it's a fake criticism. And then the second, he is just like an ex-employee, has like any relationship on like BitTorrent ownership or any level. And also the third is we are actually using a hybrid solution, trying to guarantee on the speed, but also like the decentralization of the transaction. So we guarantee the both for our users.
Tell us a bit more about the solution. How does it work technically?
So basically the hybrid solution is work like this way. So for like the small amount of the transaction, we will put on more like a payment channel level. So it's like they do the cleanery at once, and then they upload the final result into the blockchain. So basically, on one side, they can put all the burdens on the side chain. On the other side, they can guarantee the results on the main chain.
So when can we see BitTorrent live on the Tron network?
We're supposed to have a very good test version in Q1, and we will roll out in Q2. And in the Q3, majority of the BitTorrent users, they can also get the BitTorrent airdrop. So basically, they can get the token to start using this function.
So it does sound like BitTorrent may be that magic application that brings the next 100 million users into crypto.
Yeah, definitely. And then I think in this year, lots of the BitTorrent users will suddenly find out, oh, I got crypto, right? So that's also one way of we can put massive adoption or also the massive volume into our industry. I think the whole industry is going to be benefit from this.
Now, Justin, buying a decentralized network with 100 million users and then cryptifying it sounds obvious. What was your thinking behind it? What was the genius behind it?
So basically, the thing is, I think the BitTorrent has struggled for the last 15 years for trying to monetize on the ads, right? So that's why I think it's the wrong direction. I'm thinking of the BitTorrent is one of the largest decentralized protocol. It should be like combined with the blockchain, because blockchain is also one of the greatest achievement of the decentralization. So that's why I think puts the Tron protocol and the BitTorrent together will be a perfect fit.
Justin, why run BitTorrent on Tron? Why not create a new blockchain for BitTorrent, or maybe even just fork Tron?
Oh, definitely. So first of all, I think because like Tron is already one of the fast blockchain in the world, so it's no reason for us to choose like any other blockchain at all. And then the second thing is we want the Tron and the BitTorrent to benefit each other. So, for example, for Tron protocol, the BitTorrent bring lots of the users into the Tron protocol. And then on the other hand, BitTorrent is also benefit from the Tron infrastructure and the blockchain ecosystem. And also Tron can also bring lots of the blockchain users on board into the BitTorrent ecosystem. So basically it's a mutual benefit. So that's why we combine these two protocols together.
Christian, buddy, come sit over here. Now, the advertising offers have been flooding in. Look at the pile of offers I've got here for you. Look, let's just take a pick. Picture this. You're hiking through the Rocky Mountains, okay? And you're carrying gorgeous rosewood designer door on your back. And you look into the camera, and then you say, oh. No, yeah, you're right. It's terrible idea. For the next one, you'll be carrying a refrigerator on your back, environmentally friendly refrigerator, and then your line is, well, actually, it's just one word. We'll put that one on ice, okay? Yeah. This is a hot dog chain. You're carrying this huge hot dog on your back.
Enough! I've had it. No more carrying, no more saying that word ever again. I'm a serious actor. I have depth. Why can't you get me something with like an office with a tie, for example?
Action! Bitcoin is crashing. We have to sell
Bitcoin is a bubble! Hodl. 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 I have to find a new agent.
Today marks a pivotal day not only for Dr. Patrick Byrne and the TZERO team, but also for the world's securities industry as a whole. Just a few moments ago, TZERO, the world's largest blockchain securities trading platform, began trading for the first time. Holders of the TZERO token can now trade their tokens on the newly launched trading platform through a partnership with a broker-dealer called Dinosaur. Patrick, welcome back to Crypto Trader. When we spoke last time, you were optimistic, but you were nervous as to whether you could get through Wall Street and through the regulators. But it seems like now you're all systems go and TZERO is live.
All systems are go, and just minutes ago, we enabled the platform and have sent investors emails to tell them that their wallets are now live. Trading is now enabled. The first security token, is our platform is now live.
Okay, let's actually talk about what's live on the platform. What tokens are live on the platform right now?
Currently, there's only one token, and that is the TZERO token itself, which we sold to accredited investors in last year, in 2018. And it's basically a royalty on the revenue of the top line of the TZERO platform. So people invested in it if they thought that the TZERO platform was going to, if security tokens were going to take off, this is a piece of the adjusted gross profit or of the platform. So that's the nature of that security token. It's not common stock. It's not a piece of the underlying profit share. It's something off the top line.
Patrick, does this represent the dawn of a new era for the financial industry where we'll see a whole lot of new types of instruments? Because just this instrument that you're describing now wasn't possible in the old days. I mean, in the old days, you could have debt and equity, and now you're talking about a completely new instrument that gives you a percentage of the top line.
I think it is the dawn of a new era. If we like to say that 3 years ago, the first private bond we did, a blockchain instrument, it was a bond, that was like the Wright brothers flying a Kitty Hawk. Then we got a blockchain security to the public called OSTKP. That was the Chuck Yeager moment. This is probably the Yuri Gagarin moment. This is the first orbit of the Earth. It's a really big step. May even be the moonshot. There's a book by an intellectual named Francis Fukuyama called Trust, and it is about its quarter of a century old. But it was about how you can understand different societies based on how they solve the problem of trust. And some societies are high trust, some societies are low trust societies, etc. What security tokens do, but ultimately you have different kinds of institutions and social patterns to achieve trust. Security tokens let mankind achieve trust in this brand new way, have trusted exchange where the trust isn't guaranteed by some third party or some schmuck that we really don't know if we can trust. It's guaranteed, the trust is achieved through an algorithm that is protected cryptographically, which relies on sort of the deepest laws of mathematics. So no one can buy it. No one can buy it off. We can have honest institutions that are impossible to buy off for anyone to buy off. It's really quite a new era for humanity.
Patrick, last time we spoke, you anticipated multiple challenges from the regulators and multiple hurdles from the incumbents on Wall Street. How was the process with the regulators?
I would describe it as fair. And, you know, I'm sort of a decade ago, I was a huge critic of the SEC and had a lot of interactions with them. But I have to say, it's actually been quite interesting. I expected quite a different time working interacting with the SEC. They were super professional and quite fair.
Patrick, now that the platform is up and running, what targets have you set yourself for the platform? Are you looking at a new number of tokens? Are you looking at a total market cap? Are you looking at a trading volume? What are the metrics here?
We don't have any targets like that yet. We are building the institutional side of our business that is going to interact with the companies who have been knocking on our door for 2 years saying, when can we get tokens out too? So we're building that side, and we're hiring at the senior level. We have hired some wonderful folks into the company. But I'd also say, next is, although we can start having other companies join us, we are vetting them. We don't want to just be like, look at what's happened in the crypto world this year. We knew that was going to happen. Buffett was out there saying it was going to happen. Just this, we don't want bubbles and pops. That's horrible for the long-term prospects of the technology. We have a deal with Boston Options Exchange, one of the 13 lit exchanges in the country, a wonderful deal. Lisa Fall is running it. It's a joint venture where we're taking our technology, and they have applied to the SEC to open an exchange around with basically our technology at the guts of it. And that's so getting that live is exciting because then we can start taking listings.
So that's Patrick Vernon. He's super excited about the launch of TZERO, as he should be, because they have been working pretty hard at it. Now let's cross over to Sam Nursalehi, who's the CEO of TZERO, for the more practical side of things. Sam, a huge day for you today. A few moments ago, you sent a mail to all TZERO token holders that they can start trading their tokens. Let's take a look at the more practical side of things. If people want to start trading their tokens, what's the process?
So they go onto our platform, which is in partnership through Dinosaur, a broker-dealer. They onboard there, and their tokens would get uploaded into their brokerage account. At that point, they can go sell their tokens. They could also deposit cash and do buys.
Some people got tokens and they elected to have them sent to a MyEther wallet or some other Ethereum wallet. Can those people freely transfer their tokens?
They can transfer them, but if they actually want liquidity or the ability to trade, they would have to go onto our brokerage account in partnership with Dinosaur.
Sam, who is Dinosaur and how do they fit into the picture?
So there, we needed an introducing broker-dealer. So our approach to building all of this was, let's get all the right actors in the group and take a very incremental approach to releasing this technology. And so we needed a broker-dealer, and we found Dinosaur that has a great reputation, and so they're onboarding our investors and allowing them to trade using our technology.
Can anyone trade these TZERO tokens, or are they only for accredited investors?
Yeah, so once you onboard, they do the accreditation check, and if you are accredited, you're then allowed. Now that's in a 1-year lockup period, so we're following the regulatory laws again here, but after that 1 year, it's going to open up to the masses to trade, to buy and sell tokens.
Sam, this is obviously a great first step in a long journey. What can we expect for the rest of the year? Can we expect a whole array of securities tokens coming online on the exchange?
Yes, definitely. So 2019 really is the year of scaling this business. So 2018 was the year of focusing on the platform and developing the product. This year, we really plan to onboard issuers, so both through our own pipeline, which we've been developing, but also through supporting other platforms to onboard high-value tokens and digital assets, and as well as onboarding investors on the customer side.
Now, a big part of this must be educating the corporate world that securities tokens are now a real option. Do you have any initiatives that are teaching Wall Street and Old Street that securities tokens are now out there and are now a practical and real option?
Yeah, we're actually working with some firms to do just that. In addition, we're looking for strategic partnerships from the traditional world to come in and start doing security tokens. So we're talking to, for example, investment banks to do just that.
Sam, now that the exchange is live, what are the next hurdles for you? What are you focused on?
I think it's really building the two-sided network of getting quality issuers to come on board and have their tokens on the platform, as well as drawing the investors that would trade those. Although we have quite a bit of expertise on drawing in customers from our parent company, Overstock. So we have a pool of quality people from the digital marketing world that can help us draw in investors to download our applications and enter this world.
Sam, if I'm not mistaken, you guys raised about $130 million. What was the average price per token in the raise?
I'm not, well, can we disclose that? I'm not sure we can, but it basically started at around $5, and when we had different tiers, and ended at around $10.
This week saw an array of announcements in the world of securities tokens, with Securitize also announcing that they've been selected to join the IBM accelerator. Joining me on the line from a very cold New York City is Carlos Domingo. Carlos, it's an exciting time in securities tokens with the launch of TZERO. What are you expecting from the launch? Are you expecting big volumes and lots of tokens?
So yes, we're very excited about the launch of TZERO, especially because, as you know, liquidity is one of the big promises of security tokens, and so far there's only one exchange that has launched, Open Finance, and 2 others that have done live tests, SharesPost and AirSwap. But it's still very early days in terms of liquidity, and we think that a big player like TZERO is going to start changing things and making the promise of liquidity a reality.
Okay, let's talk about Open Finance because you mentioned them. You talk about liquidity. Is there a liquid market for securities tokens on Open Finance right now?
Oh, no, not yet. So first, they open at the end of the year, and they're still approving investors to go into the exchange. Second, there's only 2 tokens currently traded, the Blockchain Capital BCAP token and Spice BC. Both they're powered by our digital securities protocol for compliance, but 2 tokens is not enough to attract a big audience of people. We're looking at listing more tokens very soon with them, and as well as with TZERO and other players.
Okay, let's get back to TZERO. Did you expect the platform to open with just the TZERO token or with a whole array of tokens?
Well, I don't expect to be an array of tokens from the beginning, particularly because there's no an array of tokens that have been issued to start with. So we tried very hard at the end of last year to look at how many real security tokens have been issued. there is a lot of like ongoing security token offerings, 50, 60, some people say 100, but real tokens backed by an asset that have raised money and that have been issued on the blockchain, there's very few. It's maybe like a dozen that we can identify. So definitely there's not going to be an array of tokens. I think they'll probably start with their own token and then periodically start listing some of the other listed tokens like BCAP and SpiceBC and some of the upcoming ones that we're going to be listing on both exchanges.
Do you expect TZERO to be the biggest company in the space?
Well, they are the biggest company at the space. If you look at the amount of money they raise and the length of time they've been around, because this is not a new company. They've been around, I think, since 2015 or 16, and they bought a bunch of companies. So certainly they're a big player today. There's other big players there that might enter the space but haven't really entered, like Circle or Coinbase. So yes, at the moment they're a very big player, and that's a good thing, right? Because we need properly funded big companies entering the space to make it grow.
Carlos, let's look at the more technical side of things. Is a security token essentially an ERC20 token?
No, it's a bit more complicated. If you just issue a plain vanilla ERC20 token, then you're going to have a problem that, you can then transfer the token peer-to-peer without any restrictions. So I can just maybe go to an exchange, buy or go to an issuer, buy a token, and this token represents a security, right? So it's a financial instrument that is regulated. And then if it's just a pure ERC20 token, then I can just send it from my wallet to your wallet, and suddenly we've transacted with a security, which is illegal because maybe you're not allowed to hold it, I'm not allowed to sell it, whatever. So all the protocols out there, including ours, they're kind of like modified versions of ERC20. They keep compatibility with ERC20, which is important to be able to use existing infrastructure like wallets, etc. But they all like have different ways of basically implementing transfer restrictions that look at the regulatory framework of that particular security to be able to implement those transfer restrictions and decide at the protocol level in a, if you want, decentralized way on the blockchain whether a transfer is legal or not.
So I guess what I'm asking is a security token a token built on the Ethereum network?
Oh yes, these are all, as far as I know, all security tokens are today building on top of the Ethereum network. I know there's a lot of people that think Ethereum is not suitable, and I'm the first one that I suffer a lot of the problems that Ethereum has in terms of scalability, etc. But today, the reality is that Ethereum is where the ecosystem is and the tools and the developers, etc. I think that either they fix their own problems or someone else, some of the other blockchains that are emerging like EOS, Cardano, Algorand, etc. They'll take over the security token landscape.
Carlos, in the old world, there was a centralized entity that kept a share register and controlled the transfer of all shares. In the new world, where does this function actually live?
The tokens live on the blockchain, and the blockchain contains a smart contract, which a smart contract is no more than a smart contract for a token. It's just basically like a list of pairs of tokens on wallets, right? So that's kind of like the shared registry. The concept of a central depository like you have in traditional securities doesn't exist, really. And then the other concept that exists in traditional securities, which is the transfer agent, is the person, let's say, that approves the trade for a private security. This is done on the blockchain again. So this transfer agent is basically a set of smart contracts that is deployed on the blockchain and that approves all these trades automatically.
Carlos, I have a whole lot of viewers that have a very specific question. In the utility token world, investors used to pool their money and buy into ICOs together, and then when they got the token, they would simply distribute the token from the primary wallet to all the individuals that invested. How does this work in the new securities world?
That's a very good question. So first, if you're investing on behalf of others in a security, you have to do the KYC all the way till the end, right? So who's going to be the end holder? So even if there is like a syndicate there, you still need to have visibility on the other ones and you have to kind of approve all of them individually, because otherwise you will not be able to distribute these securities, because these are not utility tokens, they are securities. And therefore, the concept of pooling in terms of aggregating fundraising works, but then everyone has to be individually verify that can hold the security after the investment has happened.
Carlos, this has been a huge week for securities tokens, and you guys at Securitize also made a very big announcement around a relationship with IBM. Tell us a little bit more about what you announced.
Oh yes, this is a very exciting week for us. We're here in New York, participating in the first week of the IBM Blockchain Accelerator. IBM basically has this program is, I think the word accelerator is a bit misleading, because all companies that we're there, we're all revenue generating companies that has raised Series A or Series B. So it's not really like early stage startups, but these are mature companies that are building products on the blockchain, and that IBM is interested to partner with them to help them grow on the sales side and look for a particular use case that we can work together and then put it on the hands of their customers. And in our case, the use case that we have jointly selected with IBM is the issuance of corporate debt, which, as you know, is a huge asset class. $84 trillion is barely digitized. It's all paperwork, and there's hundreds of steps that it takes for a company to issue corporate debt and to manage it. So it's a very prime example of how blockchain can actually help digitize and kind of like consolidate all this dispersed information in one place that everyone can share.
Carlos, it must be a great time for you. I mean, I've been watching you for a while, and you've been talking about the launch of securities tokens on the blockchain for a long time. You've been doing this before anyone even thought it was possible. After a week like this, where we've seen so many announcements and we've seen the launch of TZERO, how do you feel on a personal level?
Hey, it makes me feel, very proud and happy, right? Because as you said, when we started first with tokenizing our fund, SpiceBC, before Securitize was even born, it felt very lonely to be talking about security tokens. Like everyone was telling us, like, why would you bother? Like, just figure out a utility for your, fund token and, sell it to retail investors, like all the funds actually did back then. Which, I remember back then we had like a list of, goals for the project, and one of them is not to go to jail. So try to do things in a legit way. And then quickly we realized these are securities, and if you want to sell them, it's great. If you want to leverage blockchain to issue them, it's great, but you have to do it in a compliant manner. And we couldn't find anyone that was interested or was doing anything in the space. The only company that had already launched was Polymath, but they still didn't have a working product. So it kind of led us to thinking of, okay, let's build our own platform and see what we need. And we kind of built Securitize first for our own needs, which I think is a great way of building a product, and then subsequently a span of the company, a separate company.
Carlos, I'm going to let you go on a much more controversial note. Do you think that this is the end of the utility token? Is the utility token going to be remembered as this short-term fad that passed and left a whole lot of casualties everywhere?
No, I don't think that we'll see the death of utility tokens. We'll probably see the death of unregulated ICOs, which is a different thing. But I'm a firm believer that, in a decentralized environment where truly there has to be an incentive mechanism for the participants to be on the network, a token is actually a great way to do it. The problem, I think, is twofold, right? So one is, first, a lot of these ICOs were clearly selling securities and were, sold to investors for profit, and therefore, that's illegal, right? So still the utility token could be there, but the ICO will not be there. And the second is that out of all the utility tokens out there, I will argue that 99% they are really not needed, right? So I think I usually like to refer to utility tokens as an incentive token, right? So it has to be a token that incentivizes people participating on a network. The fact that it has a utility because I can pay for a service with a separate token, to me, doesn't make it something you actually need. You can just pay as well with any stable coin or any cryptocurrency or any other form of payment, right? So I think we're going to see a lot of utility tokens dying, but the legit ones that have a real, work as an incentive mechanism, they'll still be there, and we'll see new ones.
Okay, staying with securities tokens, there is one company that has been making waves in the security token space. A company called Planet Digital announced this week that it would be launching a new token that would give investors a unique opportunity in the gaming industry. The company is made up of a whole lot of industry veterans, each with multiple successes in the space. Joining me from the ski slopes in Austria is Kelly Sumner. Kelly, thanks for taking a break from the slopes. With all the big news around securities tokens in the last week, you guys also made an announcement. Who is Planet Digital? And give us a bit of background about what Planet Digital is actually doing.
So we launched a token last week. Planet Digital Partners is a collective of industry veterans wedded with a group of crypto guys. And we've been looking at blockchain technology and how you can introduce that into video games and actually not just securitize them, but actually make video games much more interesting. And we've come up with a range of ideas that we're going to launch into video games coming fall of this year.
Kelly, you talk about we and you talk about industry veterans. Who is on board and what is their track record?
Okay, that's a good point. Well, I'm on board. I've been in the industry nearly 40 years. It'll be 40 years in June. My pedigree, I worked at Commodore. I was the CEO of Take-Two, the guys who brought you Grand Theft Auto. I was the CEO of Red Octane, the guys who brought you Guitar Hero. We have Chris Deering, who was he headed up PlayStation for the whole of Europe. We have a guy called Dave Rosenbaum, who headed up the largest US distributor of video games in America, plus a whole wealth of other guys.
Okay, and what are you actually launching? What will the product of Planet Digital actually be?
Okay, so we're actually going to be selling video games. And as I said, the first one comes out fall of this year. And these video games will have embedded in them blockchain technology. So yes, you can play the video game as it is, or you can add, or you can play it with the technology. We've already got 3 titles which are part of our roster, which is Cooking Mama, Bass Hunter, and Kabilis. Between them, they've sold over $300 million worth of games historically, and we will release another 7 games further to that. And the idea is that the people will invest in the token. And they will get a dividend on all the games that sold. So until we will pay 80% of the games sold net profits to you until you've recouped 100%. After 100%, we will pay you 40%, and then we will pay you 5% on any sequels. And we will start paying dividends as early as the first quarter 2020.
So it sounds like you've created a new instrument. It doesn't sound like this instrument is actually equity. What is this new instrument?
Oh, right. Sorry. No, it's not equity. It's what you're doing is you're investing in a portfolio of games that we will either we already have or we will develop for the token. And we expect those games, as I say, to be on sale from fall this year. And the games you will get lifetime revenue on those games. So if the game sells for 5 years, you will get dividends for 5 years. And any sequels to those games, those first 10 games, we will pay dividends up until 2025.
Kelly, you made a bold statement earlier. You said that blockchain can enhance video games. How does blockchain improve the video game experience?
It is. I mean, obviously, this is a security thing. I don't think I necessarily need to talk to your viewers about that. But let's look at some practical ideas. So, for instance, if you and I were playing a game and we had friends that were viewing this game, streaming it, and you had me in a corner, I'd run out of all ammunition, I have nothing left, and you're about to go in for the kill, so to speak. If one of our friends actually had some ammunition in their wallet, they could pass that through to me, and I could use that ammunition because previously you've upset that guy. So viewers can interact with streamed games, which they couldn't do before. Also, you've got a unique key, obviously, around the game and around you as a user. And as you play the game will understand how you're playing it. And so the game that you played today will not be the same game, even though it is the same game, but the style and the way you play it, it will understand how you're playing it, and it will change for that in the future.
Kelly, you set your sights on an ambitious raise, and especially in this kind of bear market. How much are you raising?
We're raising $38 million, and it's $1 a token.
Okay, and for that $38 million, let me make sure that I understand what investors are buying. Are you saying that investors are betting that the next 10 games that are launched will make just over $45 million in profit? And if they do, then investors will make more money than they invested.
That's basically it. Absolutely. Now, if you take a game, so currently a box game or a downloadable game is netting us $15 net profit. So a game will have to sell 300,000 units across multiple platforms. Now, I mean, that isn't a lot of units. And we're not taking into consideration that we discover, the next Grand Theft or Guitar Hero, which has been discovered by, people that I'm with and me. So we just need solid games and a solid return. The three games that are already part of our portfolio, as I said, Cucamonga, Kabilis, and Bass, they've already generated $300 million in sales historically. So it's not a big bet, I don't think.
And as we wrap up tonight's show, it would be amiss of us not to talk about the World Economic Forum in Davos. And as world leaders gather in Davos this year to discuss the biggest economic issues, it seems that there are two things that are very different this year. Firstly, there's no American delegation in Davos, which may make any big decisions rather difficult when it comes to implementation. And then, it seems that the crypto narrative has changed significantly. Last year, there was a large crypto delegation with a whole lot of branding and a whole lot of great sentiment. While this year, it seems that the bear market has changed the sentiment. So far, we've heard that Bitcoin may go to zero, and more recently, the CEO of PayPal had this to say about Bitcoin.
Bitcoin, what do you think? Prices dropped materially past year.
Listen, I have always thought that crypto was more of a reward mechanism for implementing blockchain, as opposed to really a currency. And we're not seeing many retailers at all accept any of the cryptocurrencies. But I think the underlying technology is still very interesting.
I guess they'll all be back next year with a different narrative, and I'll be back next week with the same narrative. Until then, I'll be on Twitter at CryptoManRun, and you should trade well, my friends.
Crypto Trader is proudly brought to you by eToro. Discover a simpler way to trade and invest in cryptocurrencies and more.